Warning: the following program contains language which some may find offensive. Some words have been censored just because of the times we live in. Listener discretion advised.
This message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
I will not have sexual relations with that woman.
I am El Nino. All the tropical storms must bow before El Nino. And what you gonna do when all the media in all parts of the world revolve on you?
Because some came in the mail today.
Yeah, I did. These nuts? Got him! Now you ready?
Cool.
All right, there it is, guys. We're here. It's the Comedy Simp podcast, live
The Comedy
from
Simp.
the Whiskey Mile with Sage the Gemini over here.
Sage the Gemini, like a red nose. That's the only song I know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him. I just know he's woke.
Is he?
I don't know. Is he?
Okay. Pretty woke, yeah.
All right, so let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's
First
get
of
into
all,
it.
dude, what year were you born?
Because
Whenever I ask people how old they are, I'm like, I can't figure it out. So I need to know the year you're born, and then I can kind of figure it out in my head what kind of references that we can make with each other.
Yeah, I'll give you a few breadcrumbs. I was born in 1998.
98, dude.
98.
What a great year. So I will tell you this, 1998, it's probably like 13. And so that was the year that I really started getting into music. And let me tell you about what music was like in 1998, young man.
You please do, yeah.
The Spice Girls were big still.
That's been a big one.
This was the beginning of the boy band era. NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys. This was kind of like Limp Bizkit had first come out. They weren't even the biggest band in the world yet.
My dad had a Limp Bizkit CD we used to listen to.
Your dad?
Very sparingly. Like, he hated when I put it on, but he still had it in his disc collection. Yeah.
Wow. How old's your dad?
My dad, he was born in 68, so he's 50-something.
Yeah. Well, your dad's a little old to be listening to Limp Bizkit.
I mean, he raised me on, we had a Limp Bizkit CD, but my favorite was Rage Against the Machine with the Rage, like, on the CD, you know? Microphone Fiend was on that one.
RIAGE, the one with the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a covers album. Yeah, so what they
Oh.
did is they took all these old songs and made them Rage versions of these old cover songs.
Hell yeah.
Back to 98, though. I remember, so I was didn't have a lot of friends at that time. You know, I was pretty young. Moved around a lot. I lived with my grandma and stuff when I was a kid for a while.
Were you in Seattle?
No, California.
What part?
I'm from Sacramento, the Sacramento area. I was born in a place called Woodland, California, which is it's about 30 minutes north of Sacramento.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically like an agriculture town. You know, like everything around it. There's farms. You know, it's onions, tomatoes, almonds, corn. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. All rice. Rice is a big thing.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not, rice. More rice. There's more rice that goes to Asia from California than I don't know what I'm trying to say.
From Asia to
what I'm
the
trying
US?
to say is most of the rice that gets consumed in Asia comes from California.
Seriously?
Yes.
I didn't even know that. That's
So. Yeah, there's a big company there, a plant called Permi. I don't even know if they're called Permi anymore, but it's like Pacific International Rice Mills, something incorporated, you know. And so they're a big rice distributor, and they do a lot of stuff, sending rice overseas because that's a staple. So Japanese people love rice so much, they pretty much eaten everything in their entire country, and now they're feeding off of our teat.
Out in Cali.
Our rice teat.
Were your parents involved in that?
No. So my parents divorced when I was like 5. So we're talking about 1990. But yeah, at that time, 98, when you were born, I was living with my mom. And that's funny you asked that, because the reason is I had a lot of tumultuous back and forth custody battle kind of thing with parents and living in different states, different houses. And before I came to age as a preteen, in that time period, I lived with my grandma. So this was like I had just moved back in with my mom for, like a summer or something like that, 12, 13 years old. And all I'd do is just watch TV, watch VH1, MTV, listen to the radio.
Oh, what a year, dude. I can't even imagine.
See, I would record songs off of my radio onto a cassette.
Yeah.
That's what we did back then. So
cassettes are so hardcore, dude. I actually have a couple cassettes that I haven't even listened to, but like albums were released, and then I bought the cassette version just for the fucking, art fancy of it.
Well, we used to have and I really feel old now because I really grew up with CDs, but cassettes, it was the end of the 90s. Cassettes were still barely hanging on, and one of the things I remember about them the most was a lot of times the tape inside would get all wrinkled or
FUBAR.
It would come out, and you'd have to try to stick your pinky finger in there and try to twist it to get the tape back into the cassette. So it wasn't really a great design. However, a lot of people, audiophiles and things like that, they say that it sounds better.
Really?
Or at least
that's funny.
Not cassette in general, but maybe just audio tape. We'll have to talk to Jeff more about this because he's the music expert. But it has to do with a lot about how sound is captured, and there's wax. It goes onto wax and vinyl. There's tape where it goes onto this magnetic tape, and then
magnetic.
It is magnetic. That's the thing that's the thing about it is it's magnetic tape.
And now it's all digital.
Yeah, and everything is it's weird. A lot of people will tell you, if you listen to Spotify, the quality isn't as good as the album. I don't know. I mean, it sounds good to me, but
I'm trying to think. So cassette tapes, I remember the earliest memory I have, car-wise, my mom had a shitty Honda Accord when I was growing up. And
what color was this Accord?
Oh, it was like a bronze.
Bronze, ooh.
Yeah. And she raised me on the cassettes I remember were George Carlin cassettes.
Oh, nice.
And stuff. So she always had that playing for the most part.
Yeah. We haven't really talked a lot about comedy. And it's interesting because you're so much younger than me and what your influences are. But
right.
I've told this before on a little bit that I didn't really get into comedy till I was later, but George Carlin was one of those ones I remember just always being around when we were young. Either you'd be flipping the channels, it'd be on HBO, or some old guy would say, "Oh, you ever heard of George Carlin? Let me play you this CD. Let me play you this 7 Deadly Words kind of thing."
Yeah, George Carlin was super inspirational. I mean, I was raised on George Carlin CDs and tapes, but beyond that, I remember being in high school. And I was very anti-institutional and stuff, and a lot of that came from George Carlin. Mm-hmm. So my sophomore year of high school, I started writing a book called The Book of Sage, and the topics were all these different religion, government, love, all these different things, and I would give my spin on it. And I remember looking back on it when I was an adult, 21 or something, and just being that is the spawn of George Carlin. Mm-hmm. But in my later years, I take inspiration from everyone at open mics. I don't know if you noticed, but when I first started comedy, and kind of the philosophy I have now is I give everyone the time. When they're on stage, I know there's something I can kind of learn from them. But if you're talking bigger figures, Mark Norman's one of my favorites. Yeah. Adam Ray, I haven't even watched much of his comedy aside from the time I met him at Comedy Bar. And he went and he just fucking killed for 30 minutes. Or my favorite, though, undoubtedly, is Bill Hicks. I fucking love Bill Hicks. And I love to listen to his
Whoa, is that Quinn Fitzgerald? Oh, man.
Quinn.
We got ourselves a famous comedian over here.
Quinn. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yo, you want to get on the podcast? I got a mic. It's ready.
For a minute, we got a hot mic. Yeah, go take a whiz.
I thought you were
Yeah,
going to go
good
to
see you, dude.
Bremerton tonight, no?
Oh.
Oh, dude.
Good to
Look
see-
at this. Yeah, hell yeah.
see-
There's the list is on the middle, in the middle there.
Yeah.
Wow, look at this. Real comedians are showing up. The
You
whiskey-
ought to hear a little.
Things are happening, Sam. Things
Yeah.
are happening.
Things are happening, Sam. You
Yeah.
want to hear a little nugget that just reminded me of? Quinn reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, have you heard about this Whiskey Mile mic? Should I go to it?" And at this point, I had malinformation.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, you shouldn't, because X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
And here's this motherfucker. So it's like time tells the truth right
Yeah.
there. The fact that Quinn Fitzgerald is walking through those doors makes me happy to
Well,
be here.
I did invite him too. I was
You
at,
did?
I was
Oh my
at
God.
Tony V's the other day, and I talked to him for a minute. But yeah, no, this is a great place, man. It's a good vibe. We got regular people out here that
And they have
wanna laugh.
karaoke after, right?
I don't know about tonight, but they have it like 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh,
Wednesdays, Fridays. I think they're going to be having it this Saturday. But yeah, no, dude. Wow. Quinn's here. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You want to get into the nitty gritty of Seattle comedy? I mean, he's my favorite comic in the Seattle scene. If you're talking
Not
about comics.
mine. No.
No.
No. It's weird because we both been doing this for a while.
Mhm. I've been doing
when-
it 7 months now.
And it's probably be twice as long as you, so maybe a year and a half.
Year and a half. Nice.
And everything that I thought that I wanted to do and everything that I thought that I was going to be influenced by is not the case at all. And as I started doing it more and more and trying out different things, like now it's kind of like when I was in a band, like I didn't really want to learn too much of another band because I didn't want to sound like them. So it's kind of like I don't really watch a lot of big name comics,
Yeah.
like I don't really watch specials. I sometimes I will, like
Tony Hinchcliffe.
like an old one, like a Segura one or something like that. But
Segura's good.
I
yeah.
think the big thing for me is seeing all these guys locally, in person. I feel like I've gained more from watching, just these open micers and
Oh, yeah.
semi well-known regional talents than I have watching anybody that's like a big name.
Absolutely. And yeah, on that note, like someone that I love to watch is Adam Tiller, and he the first time I saw Adam, I think, was like probably at Tony V's when I was first starting and just bombing my tits off. But then I started going to Woodski's, and
Yeah.
he usually takes the bullet there, And there was one day, this must have been in December or something, when we did that, and then we went over to Comedy Bar, and I did the bucket, and I got on, and I was put on right after Adam. And one of my buddies was like, "Oh my God, you're following Adam Tiller." And I was like, "Dude, I've followed him like a ton of times at Woodski's. I'm not nervous about this." But Adam, he's a killer in Seattle. Him and Quinn both. And
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they were going to do a show tonight in Bremerton, so it's interesting that he came over here. But I'm glad he's here. But no, I guess if we're going to do some name dropping, let's drop some names. So
yeah, let's start name dropping.
Before I ever even tried to get into comedy, I did a lot of research in like Seattle comic. First name that pops up. If you type in Seattle comedy, I don't know if it's now, but back then in like 2021, first name that popped up, Jack Slattery.
Oh,
And-
really? Okay,
yeah.
Jack.
And
Fuck yeah.
I checked his stuff out, and like I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. He's kind of a little bit like me, the tattoos and the kind of the rock and roll thing. I mean, obviously, he's a different thing in a different time, but
How many times would you say you've seen Jack perform?
maybe only like 3 times.
Really?
Honestly. I haven't
Okay.
even seen him do a long
What
set.
venues?
Just like Tony V's and I don't know, maybe like something like the Water Wheel, or I've never seen him do like a full set, like at Laughs or anything like that.
I think I've seen him like once or twice at Tacoma, and he's pretty funny. I just like the type of guy he is too. He's one of
Yeah.
those guys that's actually like, because you know me, I'm all about honesty and truth and all that.
Yeah.
There you go, Jack Slattery.
And obviously Adam and Quinn. I started going to Tony V's for a couple months, just watching before I ever decided to get up there. And
Oh, seriously?
yeah, I went for about 2 months. Got to know like Nick Cody, and he's the one who's like, all right, bro, get up there, do it. And
Nick
so-
Cody is like, yeah, he's a big Papa Bear, you
Yeah.
know, of Seattle comedy.
Yeah,
I think.
he's. I tried to get him out here tonight. I was gonna pick him up and everything, but he's too tired. He went to a wrestling thing last night in Seattle.
Yeah, who the fuck would wrestle that guy?
No.
fuck?
Yeah, no. He watching pro wrestling.
Oh, watching.
He was
okay.
like he was sitting in like one of those big boxes and watching it. So me and Nick went to WWE last year, and it was like probably around this time last year, and he. So at the arena, Climate Pledge Arena, how it's set up is they have these coolers like 7-Eleven where you just grab your drink and then you go to a self-checkout and you pay for it.
Okay.
Well, Nick, for some reason, every time he got up to go to the bathroom, he came back with 2 beers. And I don't think he paid for them, you know.
Oh.
And
he probably charmed him.
So Nick Cody,
Yeah.
he had a little bit too much, and he was starting to pass out, and the security kicked him out of the wrestling event.
Oh my God.
And you got to be partying pretty hard to get kicked
Nick
out
Cody
of WWE.
getting kicked out of anything is hilarious.
And so I hung out for about 10 minutes, and then I left too because I was like, I'm not even here. I'm only here for you, man. I don't even really watch wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
So
And
but-
he doesn't he produce Big Time Brewery up in Linwood?
No, that's Mike Tony Heath.
Mike Tony Heath.
Big-
Oh, he does now.
That's Big Time Brewery.
Oh, I'm sorry,
You're
not Big
thinking
Time Brewery.
about
I'm thinking about
Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind.
So Peace of Mind, that's Tapped Out, and he started that with Rob Conroy, and
Oh, really? With Rob? Oh, fuck yeah.
yeah.
I love Rob Conroy, by the way. Shout
So-
out to Rob Conroy.
I actually went to the very first Tapped Out.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the. It was in Linwood at Vessel Tap House.
Vessel.
And
Oh, that is a venue, dude.
And it was a pretty good lineup, especially I'd only been doing comedy for like 3-4 months, so it was like, obviously Nick and Rob, Michael Aguilera, Courtney Bird, Lauren Cocroft or Cocroft, I don't know. She's not here anymore. Who else was there? Some more people there that were pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then Danny Anderson was there as a person, and then he asked for stage time, and they gave it to him. So he was on
good.
there too as just like a extra bonus. But
I love Danny Anderson. Here's a question for you, a little sideways note. Do you know Richard Francis Williams?
no,
He's like a YouTuber that started Secrets of Stand-Up Comedy. I'm trying to think who told me about him. I think it was Cruz. But Cruz, Scott, Danny, we all kind of
Marcus
watched this guy.
Cruz.
And here's the story for you. The first time I went to Peace of Mind Brewing, I had hosted the Shanghai night room that night.
Oh yeah, I heard all about this.
Oh, you heard all about this?
Well, a little bit, but
Well, here's
go
the
ahead.
thing.
Go
As
ahead.
I'm pulling into Peace of Mind Brewing, I typed in the address, but it didn't dawn on me. That used to be the Maddox Grill, which is where my dad was a head chef for like 15 years before
Wow.
it closed down. And I was just like, what does this mean? And as I pull into the driveway, I get a text from Rich, and he's like, you might be the most motivated comic I've ever met. You know, and he because I had sent him a set or something like that and told him what I was up to. And I started crying, and then I get out, and JoJo's there, you know, and Maria Elizabeth and Noah and all that. And they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." You know, that was a great night, though. And then watching Nick Cody interact with, I can't remember the bar we went to, but it was one right by Dairy Queen, right over there. And all of them love Nick Cody and just shooting the shit. I love that man. I haven't seen him since then, though. So.
Well, he's busy. He went down to Oregon this year. So him and I and Ish and this girl Natalie did.
I love Ish.
We did a little show in Oregon last year. So my brother lives down there. Nick went to college down there. Every year, the Oregon Ducks, they do this like spring kickoff game.
And that's a team, right?
Yeah, it's a football team. It's a college team. I barely know about it.
I know.
I got a whole
He
joke.
loves the Ducks. That's
I
why
got
I'm
a whole
saying
joke about the Redskins and stuff too. So,
right.
Because I love football. But yeah, we did a show down in Oregon last year, and he just went back again. It's the same
Nice.
time. I didn't get a chance to go because all the chaos, the changing of jobs, things like that.
What town was it in?
Oh, Eugene.
Eugene. Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I got
So
family out there.
I lived there for off and on, like I am from California, but I had family in that area. So like there's like times in my life where I lived there for like 10 months and then moved back and stuff like that.
Oregon's a beautiful state, man. I got family that lives down in Battleground, but they have a house in my aunt and uncle. They got a house in Cannon Beach, and it's really nice. I get out there maybe once or twice a year, and just go surfing and then regret the experience. And yeah.
So you asked me if I'm from Washington. So what about you? Are you from here?
Yeah, I am originally. I was born in Seattle. I was raised in a brick house for the first year of my life in Shoreline, and then my parents split, and I grew up pretty much in Mountlake Terrace for 26 years. Now I'm living out in West Seattle for the time being, for the next like month or so, and then we'll see where the wind takes us.
So do you have any desires or thoughts of maybe wanting to relocate one day? Because obviously you went down to LA for a little while.
Oh,
checked
dude,
that whole thing out.
LA was unreal. And you want to know the funniest thing is?
Yes, I do want to know. What is
the funniest thing is like
content.
you go down to LA and it's like this. It has so much comedy. Well, I went to Third Wheel Comedy.
Yeah.
And you know Mike, right? And you said you're
Mike,
good friends with Mike.
I'm not good friends with him, but I kind of know him a little bit.
You do, yeah. And Nolan Culver, maybe. No. I've met Nolan at like Comedy Bar a couple times, but they're partial owners of Third Wheel Comedy, and it was like 25 minutes away from my hostel walking. So they have a show at like 6, 8, 10, and midnight, and they're all different themed shows, right?
Yeah.
And so that presses you not to do the same material day in and day out, but like, you do a mic at 6, and then it's like, okay, the next one's a tarot card one. And it's like, oh shit, now it's like topsy-turvy. And that's, I come from an improv ethos. Like, I was the captain of my high school theater sports team, and improv's kind of like the starting mindset that I come from.
Yeah.
So what I get a lot is like, oh, Sage, you're a premise machine. You're always edging me on without these punchlines. That's the way I like it,
It's funny. I did acting for a little bit, and every time we did improv classes, they'd be like, hey, Steven, come up with something. And it would always be like some like criminal thing.
Oh,
I'd
dude, don't.
Like, all right, so we got drugs, right? And the cops are after us. It's like in the next scenario. All right, so your dad's addicted to drugs.
Yeah. So the thing with improv that's really frustrating is if you do like level 100 anywhere, it's this very basic stuff. It's like just oriented around play. But when you get to like 500, 600, or you're doing like stuff like Unexpected Productions this is like long form narrative, meaning you have an hour of stage time, you get a couple of suggestions from the audience, and you work within a narrative format. So by the end of the hour, you've established this whole like character that you've now like conceived, So that long form improv, that's like my greatest love, dude. And I haven't done it in forever. I'm trying to think. The last show I did that was like long form improv was April of 2022, I think, or 2023. Before I started stand up, it was like 6 months before I started stand up, and it was called Fiasco. And you get kind of like this play set, like, okay, do you want to do horror? Do you want to do tragedy, comedy, whatever? And then you have 5 players, and at the top of the show, player 1 steps up, gives an opening monologue of what their character is, and then player 2 steps up, boom, does another opening. So you have these loose confines of like what your character is, and then there's a narrator that basically is like, okay, the first scene we're going to see is with Sage's character and Nicole's character. Nicole Ruiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that with Nicole. And she's a great improviser, by the way. She's like fucking awesome. I think she works at Unexpected Productions too.
Oh, wow.
But that kind of stuff, dude, that's so fun. So when I really got rocking and rolling in stand-up, I would write my joke cards out, and then I would come up on stage with them, right? And I'm referencing them. And then it got to a point where I would still write them. So I'm still disciplined with my writing, but I'd keep it in my back pocket. And then I started to just trail off. And then at some point, it clicked with me, like, for me, stand-up isn't necessarily, everyone says, oh, go for laughs. I think that's kind of pathetic, because it's like, you need to believe that you're funny. The real, like, connection for me is connecting with the audience right?
Yeah.
And if you get a laugh, fuck yeah. But if you get like an agonizing, like they're like, fuck, that's just as good for me,
Well, what I want is the combination of both.
Yes.
I want them to be shocked and still laugh.
Yeah.
And I also don't want them to hate me afterwards. Which
Right.
Is a tough thing to do in these days with certain people that come to this.
Oh, dude, you're telling me. You're telling me. I mean, it's interesting to think about, like, where I was to where I am now, because when I started out, I was very tepid. And I was like, it was like I was trying to write these jokes with punchlines, weak-ass punchlines, and I was kind of getting something, but I always really enjoyed the part where it's either the intro or the outro or the middle part where I'm, like, stalling and they're kind of laughing, not at the joke, but at you, I loved that. And then as soon as it started to click with me, like, this is more what I want to do, it brushes off certain people and other comics that are like, oh, I want to work on refined material, joke that is, like, they think in laughs per minute. They think in, like, structure and all that. I'm like I feel like I'm kind of the antithesis to that a little bit, just in the way I see it. And no shade to them, too. I mean, these people are killing. They're getting booked for, features, headlines at other spots. But, like, let me do my thing,
Yes. Now, I want to ask you this.
Yeah, please.
Let's go back to a couple months ago when you decided to leave to LA. What was, obviously you said like you were in a manic state. Do you have any memory whatsoever of why you decided to do that? Did you just decide you wanted to go for comedy? Did you want to go to move? Did you just want to get away? What was it? What was the motivating factor of wanting to get out of here?
Yeah, it was a combination of a couple things. I mean, I started to do my material that was much more like, I'll say combative, but I'll also say, like, I was commenting on things that were happening in the scene. Like, I had a joke where I compared a club to Israel with a rainbow flag, and stuff like that. And I had a lot of people telling me, like, Sage, you're only a 6-month comedian. You need to shut the fuck up. And for me, that just added fuel to the fire. And what ended up happening is I went down towards Tacoma more and more. I got banned from my favorite club. And then it was basically this mass exodus for myself where I was like, well, I have nowhere to perform here that I want to perform at. You know what I mean? And it was like the places I did want to perform were like the Shanghai Room. And you can do that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I'm serious about this. I want to do this every day of the week, So I went to LA kind of out of desperation, and tied in with that was when I got home for the day, I was living with my mom. My mom was taking the side of all these, like, people that were telling me to shut the fuck up and like step in line and stop doing all these weird jokes. So I was like, okay, so I can't even like recharge in my own home. I need to just like go way out there and try something new. And I'm kind of glad I did that, because when I went out to LA, dude, I hit the ground fucking running, Like, I went up for that first mic, and I brought a dude from my hostel that was an Irish filmmaker, and it was, like, the best time ever. And I was just like, you know what? This is my gym. This is my dojo, Third Wheel Comedy, because they have six days a week. They have 4 mics, different producers around L.A. I mean, people at Flappers, people at the Hollywood Improv, people at the Comedy Store, like, all these different people. And I kind of just, like, ran until the tires went flat, I ran out of lithium. And when I came back up, it was like I ended up going to an inpatient and got stabilized, and that was pretty prolific. But since then, dude, I've had a lot of spiritual experiences.
No, I don't want to talk about the spiritual
Yeah,
stuff.
let's not talk
Let's
about that.
talk about
bullshit,
the
right?
medical stuff here.
Yeah.
What did they put you on when you were in there? Did they
man.
Did they restrain you? Did they give you any IVs?
No,
Nothing,
I mean,
any shots? Nothing good like that? Nothing fun?
I mean, so my dad brought me into Overlake, and they were taking like my blood sample or something, but I was in psychosis, and I like had this crazy fucking experience. And then they brought me to the inpatient. No, they pretty much just put me on lithium and Klonopin, I think. That's another thing I'm taking.
Klonopin is good shit.
Yeah.
I've taken it.
Yep. And
recreationally.
then trazodone.
Shout
too.
out to my ex-girlfriend who gave it to me.
Baller.
Not allegedly. Allegedly. So obviously, mental health, mental illness.
Mental health.
A lot of it you can't really pinpoint. Do you feel as though you had any sort of trauma that caused you to do this, or
Oh,
is this
dude.
just something that happened naturally over time? What do you think?
Well, I mean, when I was streaking, I got up to like 33, 34 days in a row.
Streaking,
And
like
at that
running
point,
naked? Oh.
No. Like I went up
That would be great.
every single day. And
I
when
went naked every day.
well, no, when I was I was like consecutively going up doing sets, and it wasn't just 34 days, like one a night. It was like minimum 2, maximum. I did 5 in one day one time. And from there, I had like mania in terms of I felt it in my chest. It was like a icy feeling that I couldn't go. That was the first time I went to an inpatient. And then the second time, that's when it got more like, it wasn't as physical. It was more spiritual. But yeah, there was a lot of shit that hit the fan, man. I mean, even aside from everyone just kind of being like, feeling like the walls were closing in on me from that point of view, there was a comic that I kind of, what do you call that, white knighted, you know, and that whole situation really sucked just because I was like, I felt so betrayed. And then beyond that, there was like a comic I had a crush on, and you know, she shot me down and just like really put me in my place, and I was like, fuck. So it was just like a bunch of different things that were just stacking up. And then PTSD wise, I mean, I got PTSD from something before that. I had an abortion with an ex. And I think it's a culmination of this too, is like when I'm freestyling a lot or like improvising, which I was, I had a lot of abortion jokes, but I didn't really consider the undercurrent of that. You know what I mean? Like if you're up there and you're doing these jokes again and again and again, it's funny, it's fine. But like when you're not on the stage, you know, it's just like still that it was weighing heavy on my mind. So I'm trying to work my way away from that. Like I've been writing a decent amount now, and I'm getting back into the pen game.
You know, I've just started to realize that, you know, I went through a lot of messed up stuff when I was a kid, you know, and when I find specific things funny or I don't find them offensive, it's not that everybody else is wrong and that I'm right. It's what it is that I need to realize that not everybody has gone through the same traumatic experiences, and they don't process terrible things the same way, you know. And it's like for comedians, I think a lot of us are really depressed and sad and have a lot of mental issues, and
it's just a constant oscillator.
We like to take dark subjects and make light out of them because that's the only way we know how to do it.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of beautiful. I was talking to Mel on my podcast about this, but it's like when you go up there and you share something personal like that, it's like, who would dare to like steal that? And okay, here's another topic we should get into, this whole idea of joke theft. You know, I kind of reject it in premise, because if someone said the same joke as I wrote, you know, they say it with a different inflection. It has a different meaning to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be offended, you know. And I'm also so interested in comics that don't do comedy that orates around like dating or work or any of this stuff. Like I love when people go introspective and they go like kind of out of the box, if that makes sense, like Taco Bell, you know.
Well, that's great, but I don't do any of that. I mean, I'd like to. I mean, I have all these weird experiences and stuff, but like,
yeah,
I just don't know how to turn a funny story into a funny situation into a funny story. I just don't know how to tail end it and stuff like that. And so,
is it for you? Is it important, like before you get up on stage and tell a joke, you have to write it out and like have it in your head, kind of thing?
No. So what I do is similar to when I was in a band. Like I think of every joke as a song.
Oh.
So
okay.
I make a set list and I write them. And what I like to do is randomize them different nights.
Yeah,
so
dude.
That way I could always remember them and bring them out for certain situations. But yeah, that's.
I love doing that thing though, like randomizing it,
Yeah.
or if you have like a really strong opener, you know, saving that for the closer, or just saying I'm gonna shelf this tonight, and then I mean, what I like to do for stories and stuff like that, like one that I tried out at Woodski's, I'm not gonna do it tonight, but I'm gonna work it. Is something about
Hey, Jason!
Jason's in.
All right, another comedian.
I did a spaghetti squash set where I talked about spaghetti squash for 5 minutes straight, and there were no jokes. But
Hey, we
from
got a
that,
mic. You want to get on?
yeah, you want to get on? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta.
No,
flip.
please.
Let's test it. Let's test
Welcome,
it. Wow.
Jason.
He doesn't have sunglasses, but that's okay.
I don't.
Here you go.
All right, I hear ya.
What is happening?
Yeah, Jason
working?
Deuman.
I'll
You know.
put the normal glasses on.
Oh,
right.
there we go. Now we
Hey.
got 3.
Now it's a real podcast.
Now
So-
we can begin.
Actually, I'm glad you're here because you
Oh,
know what's
good.
funny is the 3 of us, all
What?
different comedians,
Yeah.
different styles.
True.
I like to feel all 3 of us are very deep introspectively. What do you think?
Oh.
Spiritually,
Yeah. Okay.
mentally,
Wow.
emotionally.
Mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
I can't wear these. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm very distracted.
Here, you want these?
Sure. There's just a bunch of lines.
Or the Kanye shades.
yeah.
Yeah. That's more your vibe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at,
Yeah.
you look like a police officer right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
An ethical one, you know?
I would hope. I would hope. So yeah.
Yeah. Shout out,
What
please.
are you guys talking about?
So we're just talking about comedy, talking about, Sage had some issues, for a little while and how he's bounced back and how he's
Yep.
feeling
All right.
about it and things like that.
Yeah.
How about you? I mean, you don't seem like you have any issues.
I have issues.
Yeah.
You do?
No, not really.
Yeah.
My life's actually pretty great.
I'm not some fucking loser, you know?
Not
No.
to brag, but no. The hardest thing right now in my life is my son is about to graduate high school.
Oh,
Oh,
my
wow.
God.
Oh, wow.
So-
You're way older than I thought.
I'm 43.
Oh, okay. No, you're not that
And we just got married and had kids like right away.
Yeah.
And so now he's gonna graduate next month.
old.
That's
Wow.
It's
What's-
crazy.
Does he-
Does he already have, like, college lined up and everything?
He's gonna probably go to technical school or Edmonds College.
Awesome.
So yeah, which is great because he doesn't know what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, why waste money
Yeah, exactly.
on a school that you don't know if you want to go to it? So
Mhm.
yeah. So that's the emotionally the weirdest part of my life right now.
Yeah.
Is
Mhm.
like my son's almost an adult.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Wait, so if your son was like a bird and you have the nest, where is he, Has he already jumped out of the nest?
Well,
you
he
know,
can
or-
fly.
He can fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he drives. He's got a job. He's a responsible kid.
Awesome.
So, but there's nowhere you can afford to buy anything. So
Yeah.
he'll probably still be in the nest for some
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So-
It's a different time now. I mean,
Yeah.
interest rates are ridiculous.
Yeah, but even rent,
Yeah.
it's in our neighborhood. It's more expensive to rent now.
Oh,
than,
yeah, no, I
than our
can't-
mortgage.
I can't move.
So-
I can't move.
Yeah, we're locked
Then a
in.
mortgage. Holy
Well,
shit.
our mortgage. We bought
Yeah.
our house
While
before
ago.
everything blew up. So
Gotcha.
I'll just tell you, my 2-story house costs less than most people's 2-bedroom apartments.
yeah, it's
Nice.
crazy.
What neighborhood?
Because I live in Granite Falls, so I live really far
Okay,
away,
yeah.
and bought the house in 2020, before COVID, like a month before COVID.
Wow.
just in time.
nice.
The interest rate was 3.375, if that makes any sense to anybody out there.
That's a good rate, bro.
I know.
Look at us, old guys.
Yeah, I know. We did
What's
it.
the rates now?
It's like 8%.
8%. It's up there.
And
man.
oh,
so-
jeez.
I didn't understand any of this, like buying a house, but it's basically like, it's not just how much money gets tacked onto the end. It's how much your monthly payment is going
Right.
to be. So
Mm.
that's why you don't want a high interest rate. The house that I have now, would cost me another $1,000 to $1,500 a month if I bought it today.
yeah.
Wow, dude,
It's insane.
that's insane. Yeah.
So,
We bought our house from a couple that was getting divorced,
mm.
and the house was on the market for a long time,
Mm.
and so they were desperate. And I was in Turkey, and my wife sold our old house
Oh, wow.
while I was in Turkey. She's like, I'm in Istanbul, and she's like, you have to go find internet right now and sign these papers. Like, oh, okay. And so came back, we found our house, and the couple was like super desperate to get out of the house. The price kept going lower and lower, and when we went to look, it's 2 stories, and there's a downstairs bedroom that was totally full of clothes, and then an upstairs bedroom also totally full of clothes, but only 2 people living there. I'm like, I don't know what, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is odd. And then it's like, oh, because they hate each other.
Yeah. You want as much distance in between each other
They
as
were like
possible. Yeah.
they were like Florida and Washington distance.
Yeah.
Like complete opposite sides of the
Yeah.
house. And
Because they can't afford to not live together.
right.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
then
I can only imagine. Like,
they got
That's
divorced.
sad,
They
yeah.
moved out. My son's 2nd grade teacher was the wife's best friend.
oh, wow.
And so like she came to school. and like to visit her friend, and was like, "Hey, you live in my house."
Oh,
and that
awesome.
scared my son
Wow.
pretty severely. So yeah.
So you just have one kid, or
I have 2 kids.
kids?
My daughter, she's 15. She's in driver's
Wow.
ed now.
Oh my
So
God.
Oh, nice.
Well, mine just turned 6, my
6.
daughter, and so
oh man, it's so fun.
it's fun, but I'm scared. I'm deathly afraid of what the teenage years are going to bring in
Yeah.
this dark world. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So actually, this is good. Sage, you can listen now. You sit back, listen to the married guys with kids talk, because
Oh yeah, no, I want to be a father.
there's not
someday,
a lot of
so, I mean,
a
like-
lot of us, I think, in Seattle doing comedy. You know, there's a lot of single guys, there's a lot of divorced guys, women, and non-binaries. But as far as like typical quote unquote normal regular guys, there's not a lot. There's me, there's you, there's Eric Jones I just saw on Monday.
Eric Jones, yeah.
Keon's got kids.
Keon, Larry, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doris has got kids. You know, it's Allison. You know, it's so what do your kids think about the comedy, and what does your wife think about the comedy?
Well, I used to do comedy a long time ago, when my kids were your kids' age.
Oh, okay.
And then they were too busy, so
Yeah.
I stopped.
Yeah, so they're busy like doing like activities.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah,
and
my wife was working nights as a nurse, and
Oh, yeah.
so I had to stop. And so then now at their age, they don't need me as much.
Mhm.
And so like they're like,
Like,
yeah,
finally,
whatever.
I get to do something fun again.
Yeah.
Was there a weird period where you were like kind of like latching onto them, like, do you need me? Do you need me? You know, before you went in to do comedy. That's kind of the way my dad was. I'm wondering.
No, well, I mean, yeah, I like to be needed.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like to help and be a part of their lives. So yeah, but it was just one of those things where it's like I think I could go out and do some stuff and nobody would notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go. They're fine with it. My daughter doesn't think any of my jokes are funny, and my son is trying to give me jokes, and I'm like, those are not funny. So, and my wife, she gets super nervous anytime, because she came to that show that we did together. She came with a bunch of her coworkers.
Oh,
and
boy.
You were hosting, and I was up first.
Yeah.
And like that was the best thing for her, because she was
Yeah.
so anxious that I was gonna bomb. so
Oh
hard.
yeah.
And then when I was done, it was like just a super fun night.
Hey, another comic, Rich Snyder.
Rich Snyder.
Hey,
Rich
He-
Snyder.
the list is inside. We're just doing a podcast.
Do you want to tap out?
Quinn's inside. Yeah.
Oh, Quinn's here? I
Yeah.
haven't seen Quinn in a long time.
Yeah. Well, 4B's canceled tonight, so I think a lot of people
Oh.
might show up.
I better go
Maybe.
sign
Yeah.
up then.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you not signed up?
No, I
yet?
just got here. I just walked in.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, you
All
can
right.
sign up if
Yeah,
you want.
I'll go sign up.
Jason Deuman, everybody.
Thank ya.
You can see him here at the Whiskey Mile and other places. Hey, you got any shows coming up
I do, next Friday.
next Friday?
Mike, Tony Heath at Mora. It's in Roosevelt.
Yes.
Ooh.
Roosevelt. What?
Roosevelt.
Mora. Mike Tony Heath of the what is it? Oddcast?
Comic Variety.
Oddcast. What is it? Average Oddcast.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. you know,
Average Oddcast. Mike Tony Heath from Missouri.
from Missouri.
He's going to be featuring here. I contacted him and all these people, but yeah, no, it's been good. How much time have we been doing? 41 minutes. We still got some time.
We still got a little bit.
Let's
of
go
time.
back. All right.
Okay.
Did you ever get any sort of response or anything about your public messages to Jess?
Oh boy.
We don't have to go into details. I'm just saying, did anybody ever say, "Hey, what are you doing?" or did it just kind of ignored?
Oh yeah. I got
Well,
like 4 or 5 people that were like, "What are you doing? Take this down, you crazy son of a bitch."
Yeah.
From them though, not really. You know, and in hindsight, what I failed to consider is all press is good press,
Yeah.
right? And they've been killing it, and I'm happy for them, honestly. And I'm trying to think if I regretted anything. Not really, just because like I actually had someone reach out and ask me to take it down, and I told them no, just because I think context matters, you know.
Yeah.
And like that's where I was at the time, and when I was like posting all that, it wasn't. I mean, people say I was clout chasing, but I mean, really, it was for the community, you know. Like I listed all that off just to be fully transparent, you know.
Yeah. I think the problem is, and the thing that I've noticed a lot is most people, at least in what I've noticed in comedy, is they don't really want to help anybody else out. They just care about themselves.
Well, no, exactly.
And that's why people seem to be noticing me, is because I just post everybody else's stuff. Like, I just posted Jordan has got a show. I'm not even on it, but it's like, Jordan's my friend. Hey, come to the show, you know? Like, I'm wearing PJ's shirt. Like, I don't even know if PJ's allowed to perform here anymore, you know?
Right.
It's like...
no, there's definitely like a formula and a way to do things, and like I was a new comic, I didn't know, and I was just kind of like following my gut intuition. And what I failed to consider is like, it's not that none of these people are my friends or none of them were my friends. I mean, I considered them all a lot of great friends. Like, I'm talking about the Comedy Bar comics and you know, kitchen sink comics too.
Yeah.
But what I failed to consider is like, if they were to validate me in any way, what does that do to them? You know, it compromises them. And comedy is, first and foremost, it's kind of an art where, when you look at the business side of it, it's self-preservation at the forefront, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that I was willing to put it all on the line, why the fuck would anyone else be, why should they put themselves on the line?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Well, and they're like, maybe a lot of the people it might have been feeling the same way, but we're just not. They didn't want to make that. They didn't want to take the chance of losing their spot, losing.
Yeah,
you know.
and then when I went down, to LA and I was posting all this shit, you know, I was really taking shots at Seattle, because when you're down in LA feeling that sunshine, you know, consequences for your actions aren't at the forefront of your minds. But I'd love to just stay. I never did any of that out of malice. Like, I didn't want anyone to become hurt. If anything, I was more butthurt than ever, and I took it all so personally at the time. Like, I was like, this is a personal attack on me, when the truth of the matter is, I mean, Jess and Dan went on that podcast with the Comedy Cellar guys, and they said, we don't know what we're doing. Like, they're honest about that, you know. So, you know, while I was once looking at them as like fire-breathing dragons, I mean, the truth of the matter is they're just trying to run a club. It's a business, you know, and whatever sells there. And I think right now that what they're doing too is fucking brilliant, because you know what they're doing? So they're sending out these like emails saying free shows. They're pretty much giving all their shows away for free. Not all of them, but like the weekend ones, the weekend features, and that's kind of the way they make money too, is off of, you know, drinks and food. And to be fair, they have a really good bartending staff. Like, I love Aaron, I love Josh, I love John. Their food too is always great. They're always trying new stuff. So there's a lot of good things to like about Comedy Bar. And I'd love to come back into that club at some point. It's just like right now, it's just not the time.
Well, I've only been there a couple times. As far as I'm concerned, I'm cool with everybody there. I mean, I'm wearing PJ's shirt. PJ's not allowed to perform there, but I'm not PJ.
Yeah,
and you know, if they want to if they want to invite me to perform on a show, I will do it, just because I need the spot. But I'm not going over there.
Well, they have awesome comics.
I'm not running over
too.
there because there's plenty of people that they don't need me. They don't need me. There's plenty of other people that are much better than me doing comedy.
Yeah,
but then again, if anybody wants me to perform, hit me up.
Book Steven. Yeah,
yes.
but
anyways.
So I mean, the other thing you got to consider too about that club is it's so much bigger than just that club. Like, they are roots of comedy, for better or for worse. Meaning, like, Jess is she's one of the hosts at Nate Jackson's. You know.
Well, it's after all that stuff went down, everyone's like, oh, Seattle, it's the LGBT comedy club. But there are some really, really great comics that do perform there all the time.
Yeah.
And like great, like kind of edgy guys. Simon Kaufman, Adam, JoJo. All these people are just amazing. And I mean, so it's not just like, it's not a woke club.
Well, not at all, really. I mean, and if you think about like the people the producers there too. I mean, like Ian Crowley and Molina. These two are fucking legends. As Femi walks in. But they produce Queers to the Front on Mondays. They also do Kitchen Sink, you know. Like, they're what I would call, like, in a weird way, they're kind of in this weird no man's land, but they're really underground. You know what I mean? And the way they do their comedy, too, is so out of the box. I got so much respect for them. And, like, Joan DeHuff and Spencer Earl.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those are youngins, but those guys are killers. I mean, fucking killers.
I also invited him. He's gonna be a feature here.
Joan?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Joan. They're amazing. And
the thing is, it's. I guess I'm not trying. I guess I don't want to like. I guess I am trying to. I want diverse people to feature here. Like I don't want just people like me or people like Rob Conroy. I want like. I want women. I want gay people. I want non-binary people and different types. Because
I mean, when you had Lori Peck on too, that's a great pick.
Oh,
that's a great.
She was so good. She was so good here. You know, and like I said, hey, thanks for coming. You know, it's a lot like the Shanghai, and she's like, well, there's nobody at the Shanghai, and there's people here. You know, and I was like, wow, okay.
No, Lori Peck, dude. Like I met her probably at. I'm trying to think where I first met her. Probably Shanghai, but she would go to the writing rooms, and I mean, holy shit! Just week to week, she is working. You know, like you see the notebook she comes in with, and it's you know, Min too, right? Min. Oh fuck, killer. Both of those people. That's what I really do respect about Seattle is there are a lot of comics like that take their craft very seriously. You know, like they're not doing the old like what should I talk about? You know.
What else?
I did that the other night, by the way, and I that was the worst feeling on the drive home. You're like, what else do I got going on? It's like I got fucking nothing.
Yeah, it's yeah, I never have. I never run into that situation, fortunately. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. What was I saying? I don't know.
Oh, you were talking about how you want to get more diverse.
Yeah, more diverse people. You know?
Or just a fuller range, dude. Like a bigger spectrum.
I
of
feel
people.
like this has the potential to be as good as the 907, which is a very similar vibe. And the 907 on Mondays could be quite a place to be sometimes. And it's a good time. The owner's a nice guy. He lets us do this stuff here. He lets us put on the shows here every once in a while.
And there's legit no other spots on the east side.
No,
right?
no.
That is incredible to me.
And the truth is, and this is what we want, this is what everybody wants, is that if we can make this mic successful, we want to start another mic over here, you know?
Yeah.
And do another, you know, like.
Well, I mean, before Sam passed, he was talking about Kill Phony. You know, you remember that idea?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh.
He had he mentioned it, but I don't really know the details on what he was talking about. So
no, it's basically just a Seattle version of Kill Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, and how hard would that be? Not really. I mean, you use the same time slot. You get people sign up for a bucket.
Yeah.
You get different guests each week.
All I know is that I want to host it so I can critique Jay Markovitz and
Jay Marks. Jay Marks is such a great. I love Jay. When during my hiatus.
I know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say about my name, but first I have a show on Saturday at Bad Bar with Jay, Ish, Courtney, and Lindsay Anderson, and hosted by Mitch.
Lindsay
Schaub.
Anderson's fucking
Mitch Schaub.
great.
I think he might be here tonight too. So, but what I was gonna say is, for whatever reason, people still can't get my name right, which is hilarious. Like. Lori, you were talking about Lori, and I have a video of her saying, Stephen Michael. And then PJ, he's called me Michael several times, including like just a week ago, he called me Michael.
Hey, Mike.
Michael. And then on that poster for the show on Saturday, it says Stephen James. So.
Is that your real name
no.
too, Stephen Michael James?
No, that's my middle name. Michael James is my middle name.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. My last name is Gedney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn. So you've thought this through. Like, this is your alias.
Well, it just happened naturally. It wasn't a plan. My dad used to call me Stephen Michael James when I was a kid, but he's the only person to ever call me that, you know. I don't like my last name. It sounds like I have a joke about it. It sounds weird, but it just doesn't sound nice. It's like a – and the other thing, too, is my dad is actually adopted. Like, he has 3 sisters from another dude. Mm-hmm. His original dad and mom got divorced, and so my dad's real last name should be Stacy, and my last name should be Stacy. So Gedney, the name Gedney just doesn't mean anything to me because it's his stepdad's name.
Oh,
know?
Yeah.
So But yeah, Stacy, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I'm guessing it's like British or Irish
I mean,
or.
it's alliterative,
it's
like
something
Stephen
like that.
Stacy,
Yeah.
you know, or
I mean,
like
you could-
Stacy's dad.
Well, it'd sound like pretty nice for like an Irish person, like, oh, Stephen Stacy, you know, like, you know.
Yeah, I've really, like, when I was down in LA, I was talking to some buddies, and I'm thinking about changing my stage name. I got a few different ideas.
Well, you have a
but
good name.
I
Sage
do.
is a good name. My daughter's name's Alaska.
Is it Alaska?
Yeah.
Like
know,
baked Alaska?
What? Well, it's just Alaska.
No, just Alaska. Okay.
Sage is a great name. Who else has a good name in the comedy scene? Who's got a great
good name?
Keon is a great name. Keon.
Oh, Keon. Yeah, Keon.
What's up,
Larry.
Keon? What up,
You
Key?
know,
Key. What up, Key?
Joe Ekstrom.
JoJo has got a great name.
JoJo Blacko.
JoJo
yeah. Oh,
Blacko.
come on.
I don't know if that's real, but
I think that's
could be a
gotta
stage
be
name, but
a stage name.
JoJo.
I don't know though.
Who else has a great name?
Jason Katz.
Jason Katz.
I like
That's a good one.
Jason.
That sounds like a comedian.
You're right.
You know,
Katz with a Z
Yeah,
too.
Katz. Katz.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like Joan DeHuff too.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Dino Dad. I don't
Dino Dad.
think
Noah.
Noah Rubin's a great name, but Dino Dad is a great name.
I love Noah, dude. I did the Shroom show,
Yeah.
or I ran door for it and did Shrooms
Yeah.
with the comics there. Shout out Danny Anderson and
Oh, yeah,
Alexa
Danny.
Hansen. Oh God, that was a fun night.
So, when we going? Wow, 54 minutes. Wow, we've been just sitting here doing nothing.
I know.
Talking about
Just-
nothing. Watching
just
people
spitting-
come in.
spitballing, you know.
We saw Quinn Fitzgerald. We saw Rich Schneider. We saw Femi. I think she's a comic too.
Jason.
I think that lady
Yeah,
there is a
she
comic.
is.
So a lot of people are coming in tonight. Whiskey Mile.
Whiskey Mile. Shout out Sam Gross. Any words you want to? Because we haven't really talked about Sam Gross at all.
I try and it's
Touchy.
to be
subject?
honest with you, it's weird for me because I didn't know him as long as these guys did.
Yeah.
All these guys here that were his friends, they're my friends
This
now.
was like his fucking spot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where he'd be at and just
There's a couple people here that are just really, really great people, and I don't want to talk about them too much because I don't want to hurt their. I don't want to bring it up, like rub salt in the wound. At the
Yeah.
same time, I also don't want to go around and portray myself as being his best friend because I wasn't. I really liked him. I just didn't know him as well as other people did, and I wish I did get to know him more. And just talking to his friends and learning about some of the stuff. He wasn't always the nicest guy. Apparently he did some stuff that was not the great, but ultimately.
like us all, you know.
Ultimately, when he was gone, he had a lot of love and support, and people that care about him, and that's all I could ever want for myself, if that ever happens.
I just want to tell one last story about Sam. Like, the last night I was here in Seattle before I went to L.A., I stopped here to do the karaoke show, and I qualified for the next round, and oh my goodness, it just... Yeah, he gave me a hug before he went, and that wasn't actually. I actually saw Sam one more time when I came back up to Seattle. But yeah, rest in power to Sam. I miss that dude. I think about him a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, his picture's up on the wall. He's got
You got to show me where that is.
Yeah, he's got another picture behind the bar. They immortalized him. They do this thing here at the bar where you write a message on $1 and they hang it up there on the ceiling, and they have one for him. An inside joke that they had for him, and so but yeah, no, the last thing I want to say just before we wrap this up is he was a good dude. This is a good place for comedy.
Great
I'm gonna
place.
keep coming here and supporting it, and
every Thursday.
come check it out. Thursdays, sign up at 8:00, show at 9:00, hosted by Jordan Macias, not Messias, as he told me at the Central
Macadius.
Saloon. But anything coming? Oh, you got a show coming up, Comics Who Should Be Dead.
I do. May. Do you know?
31st.
May 31st, something
30th.
like that. You can figure it
it's
out.
Backfire Moto on Aurora Avenue, put together by Casey Judson.
Oh yeah.
A lot of great people are going to be there. Leo Miller, John Banning.
Keon Larry,
yes.
Courtney Brennan, Who am I
Rob
forgetting?
Conroy.
Is Rob on there?
Yeah, in little small letters.
They couldn't put him on. They could have put him on the main poster. I love it.
And I believe an Asian person is also on that show.
Brian Fukada?
No.
No.
Somebody else. Oh, Noah Nguyen. Nice.
Noah.
Noah the
Goodness. There we
Engine.
go.
So, Comics Who Should Be Dead coming up at the end of the month. And my show's on Saturday. You guys probably won't see it. And if you want to follow Sage on social media, it is
Suddenly Made Sage on Instagram, and then on YouTube, just look up Sage Cameron. I also have a podcast called the Burning Sage Podcast. I'll have to get you on.
Yes.
Steven, for
Absolutely. And Stephen MJ Comedy on Instagram. Stephen Michael James on TikTok. And keep supporting Comedy Seattle and the Comedy Simp podcast.
Yep, Comedy Simp Podcast.
All right, we're good.
All right.
Nice.
Baller.
I should probably not do that. 59 minutes.
Yep, Comedy Simp Podcast.